Alright, we are live. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Chris. This is my channel, Born on 11/9/70. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this, and I hope there will be people that will listen to it, because I think this is rather important, and I hope you will at least give it the benefit of the doubt and then make up your mind if you listen to the whole thing. I hope people won't dismiss it, but to be honest, it won't even matter, and I'll explain why in a minute. I posted in the live chat a message. It's also about my Patreon account and things like that, because YouTube is going to block this as much as they can. So the ad revenue always helps if anybody can help. So let me get that out of the way. Okay. So this, I think, was a very important video. If you've been watching my videos in the past few months, maybe to a year or two, for whatever reason, there are times now where I will have dreams and I get messages. Now, there are plenty of people, and I totally understand if you are one of them, where what I'm going to mention or anything I've mentioned, people could say, well, it's just a dream, so it means nothing. And you have that right, and I'm not here to dispute that. But a lot of the information I've been getting in the past couple of years have been about some of the messages that I've been getting. And if you saw the video I made a couple of days ago, that includes one of them. And I think it's very important to get this information out there. So you will make up your own mind. I'm not here to tell you, and I'll explain again why it really doesn't matter. As long as you're listening to this, it's really not going to matter. So the dream I basically had, where I was getting... It's hard to explain it. I want to explain it to where it just doesn't sound... Well, it's going to sound weird anyway. Alright, so I'm just going to get into it, and you guys can formulate your own opinions and think it's just a dream or actually messages. I'll leave that up to you. Where my wife in the dream was listening to just some random, either on TV or YouTube, I'm not sure, because I can only hear it in the background. But what I was hearing was this snake-like voice underneath what she was listening to. It sounded very snake-like. In the dream also, I hear that I always have messages being sent down to me. I find it very interesting, and I listen to it and pay attention to it, even if it's not real, or it's just a dream, or, you know, a lot of dreams are about interpretations to learn things. It could either be literal, or it could be a meaning behind it. But the message I got was that anything you listen to on the TV, the radio, on your computer, anywhere, there is what they called the whispers, where there is a subconscious, different vibrational energy messages that are being distributed to you without you knowing about it. Where it comes from, I don't know. But the messages are not good. And it's a way to influence people, because if you know about... I'm trying to say this in a way that people will listen. There are those who want to help mankind, and they influence people through their songs, through their inspirations, and through their words of wisdom. Think of it as the angel on your shoulder. But then there are those who feed off of your negative energy like a food source. Because if you boil down even what we eat, even if you eat meat or plants or whatever, they ultimately boil down to being particles of energy, of matter, when you break it down to its simplest form. There are different levels of vibration, there are different levels of energy. And from the dream I got, it is an energy source that feeds off of your negativity. And they have what's called the whispers, where they've basically made sound into a weapon. I mean, prime example, put your nails on a chalkboard and watch people run in horror. Because sound affects your energetic output. And there are entities... My phone is ringing. Excuse me, sorry. There are entities, according to this dream, that their purpose is almost like a Venus flytrap. To trap you by getting you mad, getting you depressed, frustrated, all the lower vibrational energies. And it basically, you emit it like almost like, you know, you smell a good steak, or you smell a bagel, or a freshly cooked baked cookie, where they feed off of it. And that good and evil is just a matter of perception. In other words, if a cow could talk, a cow would view most humans as evil, because what do we do to cows? We eat them, we abuse them, we put them in cages. So in their mindset, if they were able to communicate with us, they would see us as evil. So it's evil and good is just a matter of your own perception. For, like I'm saying, even this, and like I said, keep listening, because even if you don't believe in it, it doesn't matter, and I'm going to explain why. But even these entities, maybe some call them demons or aliens or lower vibrations, whatever. It doesn't matter what they are. They're not inherently evil, because they're just doing what they need to do to survive. Just like you need to do what you need to survive. So even if you're a plant eater, you're taking the life force of that plant against its will. That doesn't make you evil, but it would to the plant. So I hope you understand, or what I always call understand this. So there are methods of triggering people with anger, hatred, division. I mean, look at all the stuff that's going on now. So just imagine if your power source and your energy and your food source comes from this lower vibrational energy, because it's not that crazy to think of it, because what do plants do? They get the sun's energy. They also get, you know, water from the ground and moisture and things from the ground, but the reason why trees try and climb so higher than the next tree next to them is because they want to get the sun's energy. So getting energy from something as a benefit is not something that is not out of the realm of what happens. But here's the trick. Well, here is the biggest thing about this that I was told. Is whether you believe in it or not is irrelevant. The fact that it is being brought to light and you know about it takes away some of its power. It's almost like if you were a kid and saw a magician saw a lady in half. When you're a little kid, you're going to be blown away with that, because you see it being a lady being placed into a box, getting sawed in half, and they separate it, and you see both sections move. If you're a little kid, you're going to be blown away by that. But if you learn what the trick is, it doesn't have that same effect anymore. So the fact that you're hearing about this, whether you believe in it or not, takes away its power. So I thought it was very important to share this, because it's not about fear. And that's the biggest misconception we as humans, when it comes to good and evil. It is not good and evil, it's just perspective. Like I said, to a vegetable, or to a cow or a pig, we are evil because we consume them. Some people just torture them. That doesn't make us all evil. And the same thing with a species. There are some humans that are very bad people, but not everybody is bad. And the fact that we don't use love when it comes to something we don't understand and something we may fear, we actually prevent it from learning something new and allowing it to grow. It's the whole facing your fears. And instead of fighting fire with fire, you're finding a different way. Because if you look throughout history, wars don't solve anything other than maybe temporarily. And they always go back to the same situations. Just look throughout history of how many things we as humans are repeating over and over again because we refuse to try another way. Movies, TV shows, and everything tell you if there's a monster, you have to fight it, instead of understanding its purpose and maybe guiding it towards another path. Because, you know, if, for example, with Godzilla movies, if somebody started, if you were Godzilla and you were born, you weren't asked to be born, and you're larger than all the humans, and you happen to walk up and you're hungry and everybody's shooting you, well, you're not going to sit there and say, oh, how sweet. You're probably going to want to kill them. It's instinct. But if people tried to find another way, who knows, maybe Godzilla would have a less destructive path. So the idea is, from what I learned from this dream is, whether these situations are metaphoric or actual, doesn't matter. It's the knowledge and what you do with it. Notice how I'm not saying this as a scary thing. It's like, oh my God, you got to stop listening to things. I'm not putting panic in people. Notice how calm I am about it. I'm just pointing it out like I'm describing a recipe for a new cake. Eliminate the fear and realize if you want to grow, you have to face your fears. You have to overcome them. And the biggest thing I've been learning recently is you have to come close to death to understand life. Now, I don't want anybody doing anything stupid, like trying to take their own life, because that does not give you anything positive. I'm talking about facing your mortality and knowing that this body you're in is just a capsule. And when it expires, you're not gone. You transcend, you descend, you go wherever the next path takes you. Because light can never be extinguished. So you can use the whole Alex Jones kind of Illuminati, everybody's out to kill you kind of scenario and live in fear and realize that all you're doing is perpetrating evil thoughts into other people's minds. So you're actually helping them without realizing it. Or you can start thinking in another way, because remember, one of the biggest things I try and teach people lately is choice. Choice is the most powerful thing in the universe. It is not love, although love is very powerful, because without choice, you wouldn't be able to love who you want or not love who you want. So choice supersedes love. I'm not saying love is not powerful and love is not part of the answer. But if you're going to love and you only love certain things, are you truly filled with love in your heart? Because if you are true love, you love everything. Not picking and choosing what deserves your love, because that's ego. Which means you're supposed to love the most heavenly of beings, and you're also supposed to love the ones that might do you harm, because they ultimately cannot do you harm unless you give away your power. Again, it is always choice. So like an example, if you've seen movie after movie of somebody portraying the devil, and somebody says, I'll sell my soul to the devil character and you'll grant wishes. Well, that quote-unquote devil is not granting you anything. They may make you think that they're giving it to you, but you're manifesting it yourself. So there are those who thrive off of the ignorance, the naivety, or the deniability of others to take advantage of them and steer them in directions. Because they cannot physically make you do anything, even if it seems like there are no alternatives. There are always other ways to change your life. And the biggest thing is, that I've learned, is if you do nothing, then the universe makes the decision for you, and it will not be the best path for you to take. Prime example. If you're in a room and you see the walls are slowly closing in on you, if you choose to sit there and do nothing, the walls will collapse in on you and nothing good will come of it. There is always a way, unless you believe that there isn't. And then you make that your truth. Your truth is true no matter what you believe. The opposite person that believes the opposite of what you believe to be true believes themselves to be true. So both are right. It's matter of perception. So the whole thing about the whispers, that's what the dream started out as. That there's an underlying communication where I don't know where it's coming from. That wasn't explained because it's irrelevant. That when you put on the TV, when you listen to the radio, when you watch most YouTube videos, there is an underlying language being spoken that you can't hear. That is putting you into a negative frame. But once you're aware of it, it does not have the same power it once had. So anybody that listened to this will not have the same influence that it had over you. Now again, this could be completely BS. It could have been just a dream. Or it could have been something a lot more. And considering how much I've learned in the past couple years, in my heart, I trust messages that I get because they've done nothing but help me grow and become better. What you decide to take from it is 100% up to you. And that's, like I say, choice. Because you can do one thing, you can do another thing, you can do the right thing, you can do the wrong thing, or you could do no thing. But every one of them will create a different path. So very carefully, I recommend, choose wisely every path you take. And always remember, you can always go in another direction and you can turn around. But if you come to a crossroad and you're standing in the middle of the road and there's 4 different ways you can go, and you stand in the middle of that road contemplating which way to go, afraid of making a choice, you go nowhere. And pretty likely to be run over by a car because somebody might come up behind you that you're not expecting. It's your inactivity and your fear that makes most people hesitate. And when you hesitate, you do nothing. And the world does not stop because you choose to do nothing. The world continues forward and drags you along. So I would suggest, make a choice. Trust in your choice. Have that leap of faith. Know how strong you are. Know you always have a choice. And no matter what anybody tries to do to stop you, it is up to you to make the decision whether it's their time to let you stop or you find another way. There is always another way. Unless you believe there isn't. So, 38 people watching out of 47,000 people. Of those 38, 39 people, 15 have liked it, which I appreciate. And maybe 3 or 4 people will find something positive out of this video. Most would see that as a failure. I see it as a success, because if one person has the spell broken and they start thinking in different ways that better their life, or at least gives them an option to better their life, then I'm glad I made this video. I would love to hear your comments. I thank you for listening. Again, because choice is the number one most strongest thing in the universe. You can choose to ignore this. You can choose to love it. You can choose to hate it. You can choose to take parts of it. You can do whatever you want. But always remember, there are always consequences for whatever you do. And sometimes you don't know what the benefits will be until later on down the line. And I'll leave you with this. Choice. Well, no. People fear the unknown instead of embracing the unknown. Because I guarantee you, as my cats are fighting, I guarantee you that there is not one person that grew up that had Christmas presents under their tree that said, oh, I can't open any of these. I don't know what's inside. There could be bombs. There could be snakes. It could be bad. I don't know what's in them. I'm afraid. No one's ever said that. Which shows that the unknown can be also exciting. You choose your path. Do you want to be afraid of the unknown and always have something to be afraid of because you create your own truth? So if you're always afraid of the unknown, well, you're always going to have something unknown to be afraid of. That's not coincidence, it's creation. So I would highly recommend to try a different path, test it out. Think of it like going to buy a car. You can test drive the car, and just because you test drive it doesn't mean you have to buy it. But you never know. You may test drive a car you never thought you'd have, and you end up buying it and bringing it home, and it'd be the best vehicle you ever had. If your way is not working, and you continue to do that same thing, whose fault is that? And will it change if you continue to do the very thing that you are not happy with? Whatever that is in your life. It's time to take responsibility for your actions and inactions. Because like I've said in other videos, and I will quote the Rush song Free Will. So if you ever get the moment, go to lyrics.com or some kind of lyric website and look up Rush's Free Will. And one of the lyrics is, if you choose not to make a choice, if you choose not to decide, you still have made a choice. And that's the biggest thing nobody wants you to learn. And that's why this planet is run by people who profit off of you, waiting for them to give you just enough to survive. And if you like that life, then enjoy it. But you can be so much more. So I thank you for listening. 27 likes, really appreciated. YouTube can never completely stop this. But like I said before, YouTube will prevent this from getting out to 99% of my subscribers. So ad revenue is going to be non-existent. So if anybody can contribute anything to my Patreon, I also have a Bitcoin account. The links are in the description. It helps me. If you can't, I understand. But thank you for listening. Share this video and know that you are one of the few where the magic trick may not ever affect you the same again. Because if you stand next to a microwave, the radioactivity could hurt you. You can't see it. You don't know it's there. But that doesn't mean it cannot affect you. So there are many things in this world you cannot see, you cannot smell, you cannot taste, you cannot see, which I think I already said, you don't know is there. It does not mean it's not affecting you. But also keep in mind, not every one of those things is bad. You're breathing oxygen, aren't you? You can't see it. You don't know where it is. And if nobody ever told you about it, you would not even know it exists. And yet, you're surviving on it. Thanks for listening. Have a great night. And I'll see you next time.